In the shadows of Europal's mountains, a forgotten people rose.
They were the wolves of the forest, feared even by Rome. Guided by gods,
armed with iron, united by fire.
And across the Danube stood Rome, hungry for conquest.
This is the story of the Dacians, the wolves who defied an empire. In the storm-wrapped heart of Europe, a land of mountains and mystery awaited, a land called Dacia. Here, rivers carved silver paths through endless forests, a fortress of nature guarding its people. Among these woods lived the Dacians, warriors forged by fire, hunger, and the wolf's spirit. They worshipped Zalmoxis, a god who promised them life beyond death. To Rome, this wild land across the Danube was both mystery and threat. Their culture was alive, with ritual, songs, dances, and drums echoing through the night.
Villages clung to valleys and cliffs, where life was humble but strong.
They sowed fields, raised cattle, and drew wealth from the earth itself. But more than farmers, they were smiths, turning iron into the weapons of survival. The wolf, their sacred symbol, gave them cunning, strength, and fear in their enemies' hearts.
Through trade with Greeks, they touched the world beyond their forests.
Yet even wine became sacred, offered to the gods, not wasted on pleasure.
Every shield bore the signs of ancestors, spirits drawn in color and fire. Even children were taught the art of war, where play prepared them for battle. On mountaintops, they built strongholds, watchtowers against invaders.
their temples were caves, where priests whispered secrets to the gods.
Dacian goldsmiths crafted treasures so fine, even Rome would hunger for them. The hunt itself was training for war, swift, fierce, and merciless.
They read the stars, believing the heavens carried messages of destiny.
Even lullabies carried stories of wolves, spirits.
To survive, they fought. Neighboring tribes were both enemies and prey.
To fall in battle was not defeat, but the gateway to immortality.
They buried their warriors with weapons, for the next life was another war.
Across the wide Danube, Rome watched, cautious, calculating.
Whispers spread in Roman camps. Dacia, the land of the wolf.
Every storm that struck their fortresses was taken as the gods' warning. From childhood, they carved symbols, marks of their people, their spirits. Training was relentless. Every boy forged into a soldier before manhood. Shamans spoke through smoke, binding the living with the dead. Dacia, proud, unbroken, encircled by foes, yet ready to defy them all. In the rising mists, Dacian hunters moved like shadows, guided by the spirit of the wolf.
From childhood, the bow was not a game. It was survival.
Trade bound their tribes together. Every tool, every jar, every skin carried stories.
They looked to the stars, reading the gods' will, written in the heavens.
Every weapon was a bond between man and spirit, iron tempered with belief. High above, their fortresses watched like wolves' eyes over the valleys. Even in cloth, the wolf lived, woven into the heart of Dacian life. The hunt was war's rehearsal, swift, disciplined, merciless. Their temples were caves, dark, timeless, echoing with chants of eternity.
From their minds came gold so pure, it caught Rome's envious eye.
The horse was their ally, swift, fierce, carrying them like wind. The wisdom of ancestors passed not by books, but by memory and symbol. Survival demanded war. Neighboring tribes were foes to be conquered. For the Dacians, death was no end. It was a passage into eternity.
They honored their dead with fire, earth, and sacred chants.
Across the Danube, Rome watched, calculating, waiting. Through smoke, shamans spoke to spirits of the dead.
Even the young trained their aim, dreaming of glory and battle. They saw the sky as a mirror, heaven above, heaven below. The wolf banner rose high, symbol of unity, strength, and defiance. Leaders were chosen not by birth alone, but by courage and vision. They stockpiled weapons, ever ready for the storms of war. Festivals echoed with fire and song, a bridge between men and gods. Hunt and harvest bound community, every meal a gift from spirits.
Even their pottery carried symbols, circles of life, wolves of eternity.
The night before war, steel sang louder than voices.
In sacred groves, they offered blood to gods of earth and sky. Nature ruled them with kindness and fury. Gods spoke through storms.
Legends kept alive the spirit of wolves, kings, and heroes.
But Rome was growing, its shadow creeping ever closer to Dacia. From shadows of division, a new power began to rise.
His name was Burebista, the man who would unite the Dacians.
Tribe by tribe, he bound rivals with oath and fire.
His kingdom spread wide, from the Carpathians to the Black Sea. Discipline forged strength. His warriors became an unstoppable tide.
Faith and war marched side by side under his rule.
He was more than a king. He was a strategist of destiny. He banned wine, believing drunkenness weakened his people.
And so, vineyards burned, replaced by fields of grain for warriors.
His armies thundered across plains,
swift as storms.
No fortress was safe. Burebista mastered both sword and siege.
He struck even at Greek cities, shaking their walls with fire.
Each victory swelled his power and his legend.
And Rome began to watch, nervous, wary, uncertain.
To his people, he was not just a king. He was the living wolf.
Kings and envoys sought his friendship, fearing his wrath.
His influence stretched beyond borders, carried by swift messengers. He crushed rivals until none dared stand against him.
His kingdom now stretched farther than ever before.
Whispers of Dacia reached Rome itself. Could this king rival Caesar?
To his people, he was the chosen one, blessed by gods.
Even Rome traded with him, wary yet dependent.
Religion bound his warriors, fire uniting faith and steel.
He sought counsel from seers, guided by visions of the divine.
Even Greek scholars wrote of him, Burebista, Lord of the North.
Rome prepared its legions, for a storm was brewing across the Danube.
Their war cries, like wolves a night, shook enemies with fear.
One man in Rome, Caesar, would soon cross paths with the Wolf King. The world edged toward a clash that could change history. And in that moment, the Dacians stood united, a force Rome could no longer ignore.
A storm gathered. The Dacians and Rome were fated to collide.
Rome's rising star, Caesar, was already reshaping the world.
And in Dacia, Burebista's word became law, his people united in strength.
Two leaders, worlds apart, yet on paths destined to meet.
Rome's legions conquered westward, iron discipline in every step.
In the east, the wolf warriors sharpened their blades, watching.
Even the Senate whispered, "Could Dacia rise against Rome?"
His fame traveled far, a shadow stretching across the continent.
Caesar's victories shook the world. Gaul was his prize.
And yet, Burebista gazed west, toward Rome itself.
His empire grew vast, swallowing rival tribes in its path.
He built an army that moved like fire across the land.
Caesar's eyes turned east, probing the lands near Dacia.
And Burebista, guided by priests, prepared for destiny.
Rome forged steel for conquest.
Dacia forged the phalanx, a weapon feared even by legions.
In Rome, Caesar defied the Senate. Civil war had begun.
In Dacia, omens spoke of a coming clash with the eagle of Rome. Caesar triumphed, his power unchallenged within Rome.
And yet, in the north, Burebista's star only burned brighter.
Two worlds moved closer, an eagle and a wolf on a collision course.
Caesar dreamed of expansion. His gaze turned toward Dacia.
Burebista answered with steel. His armies stood ready.
In Rome, rumors swirled. Would Caesar march against the Dacians? Ships were built, legions prepared. The invasion was near.
In the mountains, priests warned Burebista. Fate would soon be decided.
Two rulers immortalized in stone and wood, destined for conflict.
But destiny is cruel. Caesar's enemies plotted in silence.
And on the Ides of March, Caesar fell by Roman hands.
In Dacia, Burebista too would soon meet betrayal, the clash that never came. By 44 BC, Burebista stood at the height of his power.
But in his court, whispers of betrayal began to grow. Ambition and envy poisoned the hearts of men closest to him. His empire stretched from the Black Sea to the Tisa River. But this unity would not survive the death of its king.
He was a visionary, but even visionaries cannot see daggers in the dark.
Chiefs and nobles, fearful of his power, sealed their pact.
Even on the morning of betrayal, he dreamed of a united Dacia.
But that dream died in blood and silence.
The king of the Dacians fell, struck down by his own.
The wolf was slain, not by Rome, but by betrayal within.
With no chosen successor, chaos spread like fire.
From one kingdom came many. The empire shattered into pieces.
Every chieftain crowned himself king, and unity was lost. Brother fought brother, weakening the nation from within.
Rome saw the cracks and waited for the right moment.
For the common people, loyalty fractured. They no longer knew one king.
Priests begged the gods to restore order, but the heavens were silent. Trade faltered, wealth diminished, the golden age was gone. The people suffered most, caught in endless tribal wars. Strongholds, once united, now burned under rival flames.
Many lost faith, the dream of Burebista buried with him.
Meanwhile, Rome grew stronger, its gaze fixed on the fractured Dacians. A generation grew up in ruins, inheriting only fragments. By 37 BC, Dacia was no longer one, it was many. Rome celebrated quietly. Its greatest rival had destroyed itself. They raised their cups, knowing time was now on Rome's side.
But the Dacians, though divided, still carried the spirit of the wolf.
A flicker of hope remained, that one day unity might rise again.
An empire once mighty was broken, its future uncertain.
With the great king gone, the throne of Dacia stood empty.
Ambitious lords crowned themselves kings, each claiming his legacy.
From unity came division. 4 kingdoms rose where once there was one.
Instead of fighting Rome, they turned their blades on each other.
The common people bore the weight of their leaders' pride.
Across the Danube, Rome watched with patient eyes.
They saw weakness, and weakness was opportunity.
Some kings drowned themselves in wine, blind to danger.
Others sharpened blades, preparing to claim more land.
Rome spread its influence through letters, promises, and gold.
Trade faltered as borders fractured into rival tariffs and tolls.
Even their iron, the lifeblood of war, became scarce.
Disputes over food and weapons weakened their armies further.
Meanwhile, Rome built fortresses of stone, step by step, closer to Dacia.
To the young, Rome was a looming shadow they could not ignore. Priests begged the gods for a leader who could restore strength.
They searched the skies for omens, waiting for destiny to answer. But for now, they stood divided, staring at the storm beyond the horizon. Each banner claimed kingship, yet none held true power. In Rome, senators argued not if, but when to strike. Ordinary people hid cood, praying their villages would survive the night.
The kings ruled, but none could truly protect their people.
Rome's legions prepared, inch by inch, for invasion. The children still carried the spirit of the wolf, untamed, unbroken.
Some whispered of unity, a dream reborn in secret vows.
Rome recorded every weakness, every division.
But warriors still trained, refusing to surrender their land.
Legends of their great king lived on, fueling hope for another like him.
Yet the land remained fractured, symbols of unity fading into dust. The stage was set, a divided Dacia and a patient Rome waiting to strike.
Rome's shadow grew heavier with every passing year.
But the people clung to the land, guided by symbols of the wolf. Rome bought loyalty with silver and gold, turning chiefs into pawns. Yet some refused, swearing never to kneel before the eagle. Fortresses crept closer, brick by brick, stone by stone.
The women preserved their heritage through thread and song.
Priests raised voices to Zalmoxis, keeper of immortality.
Rome's river fleets signaled their intent to dominate every frontier.
The Dacians trained their young, blending survival with defiance. For some, resistance ended in chains, sold far from their homeland. Yet culture endured in whispers, songs, and secret stories. Rome trained relentlessly, perfecting the art of conquest. But the phalanx still gleamed, a weapon Rome had learned to fear. Generals studied the mountains, planning the day they would march. In the forges of Dacia, fire shaped weapons of defiance. Guerrilla tactics became their shield, strike and vanish. To Rome, Dacia was no longer a mistra, but a target.
To the young, Rome was not fear. It was destiny to resist.
But kings bickered while danger closed in.
Still, voices rose calling for unity, for a new leader.
Rome built roads not only for trade, but for war.
Even in hardship, their healers kept warriors alive.
In Rome, senators debated conquest or client kingship.
The legend of Burebista lived on in bedtime tales.
Raids continued, each strike a reminder. Dacia would not bow.
Yet Rome's discipline marched on, unstoppable as the tide.
Prophecies spread. One would rise to unite them once more.
Culture, weapons, and faith became the pillars of survival. And in the shadows, a new figure prepared to rise. The dawn of resistance approached. The age of Decebalus was near.
The eagle of Rome loomed closer, hungering for conquest. Yet the forests whispered warnings of danger.
Rome prepared its engines of war, crushing all in their path.
And even the youngest learned resistance through fire and symbol.
Rome demanded submission or destruction.
The tribes roared with defiance. Unity still fragile, yet unbroken.
In secret, prayers grew louder, for a savior, for a king.
The river became a line of fire. Rome on one side, Dacia on the other.
The order was given!
The North must fall!
But Dacia stood tall,
defiant against the coming storm.
In silence, a new leader prepared to rise.
A warrior destined to unite the tribes.
The march of Rome was unstoppable.
Until he appeared.
From shadows to legend, the rise of Decebalus was about to begin.
And so ends the story of the Dacians, for now. Next chapter, the rise of Decebalus. Like, share, and subscribe to follow the epic journey of the Dacians.
A kingdom once united, broken by betrayal.
Divided tribes faced the shadow of Rome, relentless, unstoppable.
Yet from the ashes, a new leader would rise. And Rome would learn to fear his name.
From the chaos let by Burebista's death, Dacia descended into fire and division. The once great kingdom was no more, shattered into rival tribes.
Yet among the ashes, a boy would be born who carried the spirit of wolves. His name, Decebalus. Destiny marked him from birth.
The priests saw omens in the stars. He shall lead where others fall.
From childhood, he trained his body for war. Even in youth, his courage outshone his years. He learned from the wild. The wolf became his teacher. The priests blessed him, binding him to Zalmoxis. Strength and cunning made him a leader among youths.
But the land around him remained divided, torn by rival chiefs.
In silence, he studied the pride and weakness of men.
Beyond the river, Rome sharpened its blades, waiting. The boy stared at Rome, his future enemy.
The spirit of the wolf lived within him, fierce, untamed, and unyielding.
He learned the sacred rites, where death was only a passage.
Rome courted Dacia's chiefs, buying loyalty with gold. But the boy chose steel, not silver, as his path.
Legends of heroes filled his dreams with fire.
His body grew stronger with each trial. But Rome was coming closer with every passing year. He studied their every move, learning their ways. The hunt became his classroom, swift, cunning, merciless.
He dreamed of uniting what the elders could not.
The mountains themselves seemed to wait for their future king.
Strength was carved into him, not in temples, but in toil.
Even as a youth, his hand struck with precision beyond his years.
The wolf spirit was passed to him, fierce and untamed.
He carried the ghosts of fallen kings within him. Faith and symbol became his shield long before iron. The forest taught him patience, silence, and death. From boy to provider, the path to respect began. He faced men twill his size and did not bend.
But beyond the river, Rome had begun to watch.
He sought wisdom not only in steel, but in spirit.
His courage was tested in blood, and it did not falter.
Honor among warriors was not gifted, but earned.
The citadels of Dacia whispered of wars yet to come. Discipline became the breath of his mornings. The gods were called to guide his hand.
Even in games, he carried the instinct of command. In Rome, generals whispered of the wolf across the Danube.
Recognition spread. His name carried weight.
He saw not only land, but destiny.
Rome forged weapons that would one day meet his.
Nature itself became his cloak. Men began to march to his rhythm. The wolf became his cry, his banner, his soul.
Blood marked his rise as a leader of men. His victories gave hope to a divided land.
Even Rome now spoke his name in caution.
He believed the stars themselves had chosen him.
From whispers, his name thundered across the hills.
But Rome never stayed silent for long.
For greater wars were waiting beyond the horizon. The eagle crossed the river, its wings casting a shadow over Dacia.
He learned early. To survive Rome, one must see it coming.
But in Rome itself, daggers tore the empire apart. For a moment, the wolf across the river was safe.
In silence, he prepared for storms yet to break.
A chain of fire carried warnings faster than Rome's messengers.
While Rome bled itself dry, the Dacians sharpened their claws.
He trained not only as a warrior, but as a strategist.
They celebrated not wealth, but survival itself.
Rome's first weapon was not steel, but silver.
Some men could not be bought.
Romel's second weapon was fire.
And Dacia answered with fire of its own.
The wolf fought and vanished into the night.
Rome grew furious, yet could not catch them.
Every tree became a fortress, every arrow a message.
The empire built walls to contain the wolf.
But walls cannot contain a spirit.
He struck where the eagle was weakest.
Rome's armor was strong, but not against the mountains.
He learned from every blade he captured.
The wolf sharpened its fangs.
And discovered weapons Rome had never seen before.
Whispers spread. The wolf had teeth of iron.
He trained peasants into warriors, warriors into legions. The Dacians grow stronger. Rome began to fear what it could not tame.
For every tower Rome built, he tore one down. Faith and fire bound his people tighter than fear.
Rome turned inward, locked in another civil war.
And in that chaos, the wolf prepared to strike. Rome came not as visitors, but as conquerors.
And the wolf watched the eagle cross its borders.
In Rome, a new emperor rose, promising glory beyond the Danube.
But in the mountains, another leader rose to answer the challenge.
Stone by stone, Rome crept closer. Iron by iron, Dacia sharpened its resolve.
The empire spoke of borders drawn in blood.
The wolf prayed not for peace, but for strength.
The first clash came in silence, steel biting through shadow.
The eagle bled, but it did not fall.
Far from the mountains, Rome felt the sting of resistance.
The wolf's cry carried through the valleys. Defiance became destiny. The river became a border of fire and fear. Every road Rome built became a trap. The mountains fought with the Dacians. Knowledge was his sharpest weapon.
The empire could not bend the mountains to its will.
Faith made every man a soldier of the gods.
They struck like shadows, then disappeared into the trees.
The eagle slept lightly in wolf country. Every child learned Rome was not a distant story, but a present danger. Steel thundered against hooves, each side testing the other.
The wolf proved his fangs in open battle.
For the first time, Rome tasted humiliation.
The emperor vowed Dacia would be chained.
But even their women turned iron into defiance.
Nature itself seemed to fight for Dacia.
He rose not just as a warrior, but as a symbol.
In Rome's halls, his name carried fear.
The storm was only beginning. In betrayal's silence, the great king fell.
His empire, once united, splintered into rival thrones.
Where unity had lived, ambition now ruled.
Dacians turned their blades upon each other.
And Rome watched with hungry eyes.
Every fracture was an opening for the eagle.
Strongholds built by Burebista stood silent, unattended.
Even the gods seemed distant from a divided people.
The empire tested the cracks, one step at a time.
Kings rose not to defend the land, but to claim it. Brother turned against brother, fire against fire.
Rome bought loyalty with silver and silence.
The people suffered most, caught between crowns and chaos.
Already the eagle claimed shadows of the land. The next generation was born into fracture.
In Rome's halls, conquest was spoken like destiny.
Kings feasted as their people wept. Yet, pockets of defiance burned bright in the dark.
Across the sea, a new emperor prepared to claim Dacia's fall.
But divided loyalty is no shield.
The eagle sharpened its talons.
Faith held the people when kings could not.
But faith could not stop clan from spilling clan's blood.
Rome tightened its grip on the river.
The people preserved hope in secret.
crowns grew lighter, even as pride grew heavier.
The eagle's discipline awaited its moment.
But in the ashes of division, a watcher was born.
In him, the wolf spirit stirred again.
And from storm would rise a king Rome would never forget.
Without unity, crowns grew weaker, kings smaller.
Some bartered their loyalty for Rome's silver. Rome entered their halls not with swords, but with bribes. Jealousy poisoned every alliance. Meanwhile, the empire's shadow crept closer.
The people paid the price, twice over.
Even their symbols lost meaning in the soil. The eagle studied every weakness, every road.
Warnings were lost in arrogance.
Divide and rule became Rome's sharpest sword.
Councils became battlegrounds of words and pride.
Every clash revealed their weakness. Rome mocked what once had been feared.
Yet, in the forges, the wolf's fire still burned.
Some still believed the gods had not abandoned them.
But Rome built walls higher than hope.
In whispers, the spirit of resistance survived.
Some kings bent before the empire.
Others struck back from the shadows.
But Rome always answered with fire.
Failure bred blame, not unity.
Unity.
Gold from the Carpathians filled Roman coffers.
The gods were invoked, but the storm grew within. Rome recorded triumphs, not struggles. Still, sparks of defiance refused to die.
But Rome smothered flame after flame. A greater wolf will come.
The prophecy of a leader echoed in whispers.
And the boy who watched in silence was becoming a fighter. Strength, cunning, and patience grew within him. But as he grew, so did the empire's shadow. The empire advanced, its steps shaking the earth.
The people learned survival beneath the eagle's shadow.
In secret, the wolf's weapon returned.
Rome demanded more than loyalty. It demanded everything.
Yet culture became resistance, songs sharper than swords.
The eagle spread its wings across their sacred lands.
But the priests kindled ancient flames, unseen by Rome.
In Rome, victory was celebrated before it was won.
A generation prepared not in palaces, but in shadows.
Among them, one boy studied every move of the enemy.
The empire built walls of stone to cage the wolf.
But shadows struck where walls could not reach.
Rome answered rebellion with fire and iron.
A wolf will lead us.
The prophecy spread like wind through mountains.
And the prophecy began to take shape.
The wolfer's howl returned in ambushes and blood.
Their spirit was carved into stone, immortal.
Even Rome admitted the North was restless.
The boy had become a leader of men.
Flames proved that the wolf was no longer a myth.
For the people, hope returned with every victory.
But the empire never forgot its wounds. The young wolf sharpened both blade and mind.
Rome prepared for a storm it thought it could control.
But the mountains spoke louder than Rome's orders. The prophecy of the wolf was no longer a whisper. It was a vision.
The eagle entered the mountains, unaware of the storm.
The wolves had begun to gather.
And their leader had finally revealed himself.
The war between eagle and wolf was about to begin.
The wolves had returned to the night.
And at their heart stood a leader with fire in his voice.
The mountains themselves became weapons against Rome. The banner of the wolf rose where the eagle once stood.
In Rome, whispers turned into shouts. Dacia had to be crushed.
But the wolf studied the eagle's mind, strike for strike.
A whole people prepared for the storm to come.
And the storm was already marching north.
The young leader was no longer in the shadows.
Two symbols, Two worlds, destined to collide.
The war of gods and empires was inevitable. And at its heart, Decebalus, the Wolf King.
The first clash was about to shake the world.
The wars with Rome begin in chapter 3.
Rome's shadow stretched further, but the wolves of the mountains would not bow.
From chaos, a new defiance was born, carved in fire and blood.
The world would remember the name Decebalus. And a legend was about to rise.
A land once united, still fractured by betrayal.
Tribes struggled. Rome watched.
Without unity, Dacia was vulnerable to the eagle's shadow.
Rome waited, patient, relentless.
Two worlds, two destinies, the eagle and the wolf, racing toward their first clash.
His name was Decebalus.
The gods marked him for destiny.
Strength beyond his years. Courage without fear.
They whispered, he was chosen by the stars.
But in Rome, a new threat was already foreseen.
From play, he learned the art of war. Strength earned him respect.
Wisdom forged his mind.
He studied war like a sacred art.
But Rome moved closer with every season.
He knew the storm would find him. The empire feared no foe. But Dacia prepared in silence.
For the Dacians, every shield carried the soul of the wolf.
Blessed by blood and soil.
Rome demanded submission.
But he spoke with fire.
Some doubted. Others believed.
The greatest army in the world advanced.
He prayed for strength beyond men. The heavens gave a sign.
The wolf spirit awakened.
He became more than a warrior, a leader.
The elders began to see destiny in his eyes. From ashes, a king would rise.
He forged the next generation with fire and discipline. Justice made him beloved among his people.
But Rome's shadow reached deeper every season. One voice rose against fear.
His courage divided the elders!
But the spirits of his ancestors stood with him. Rome built its walls ever closer. In silence, the wolf sharpened its fangs. His strength became the symbol of Dacia's hope. They began to see not just a warrior, but a king. One by one, the tribes gathered.
Even the young and the old carried his fire.
Rome prepared for inevitable war. But he was always one step ahead.
Faith bound the people in unbreakable unity.
The wolf struck first. Rome felt the bite of defiance.
And the people saw their leader's destiny.
The mountains roared with the cry of war.
The eagle prepared to crush the wolf.
But Dacia turned nature into its weapon.
No secret escaped the wolf's gaze.
Even the innocent braced for war.
He prepared not just to fight, but to lead.
The Wolf King had risen.
In Rome, an emperor prepared for conquest.
A ruler who would test Dacia's fate.
The legions prepared to cross the river of destiny.
But Dacia's eyes were everywhere.
He prepared for the storm with steel and wisdom.
The eagle finally moved against the wolf.
From the shadows, he measured his enemy. The mountains carried the warning. The spirit of the ancestors blessed every blade.
Even those who could not fight carried the weight of war.
Rome prepared its machines of death. but the forests themselves were Dacia's weapon.
His patience was steel, his resolve unbroken.
Two worlds, two ways of war, destined to collide. The children of the wolf swore never to kneel.
And Rome's emperor vowed to end their defiance.
Decebalus waited for the right strike.
Even the skies roared for war.
The night before battle carried no sleep.
The storm had begun.
The river that once separated worlds now carried legions of Rome into Dacia. From the mountains, the Dacians watched, the wolf facing the eagle.
For Rome, this was conquest. For Dacia, survival. Among them, one voice began to rise. Decebalus, destined for kingship.
The Empire brought machines of war, never before seen in Dacia.
But the Dacians had their own answer. The phalanx, a blade feared even in Rome.
Order faced fury. The eagle met the wolf.
Rome struck first, iron spears darkening the heavens.
But the phalanx shattered shields, and with it, Roman certainty.
The wolf's fury tore into the Empire's order. Every Roman strength met a Dacian trap.
And in the storm of battle, one leader shone brighter.
The eagle of Rome itself trembled before the wolf. Neither side yielded. Blood soaked the earth of Dacia.
In the ashes of battle, a legend rose. Decebalus, the wolf king to come.
Rome bent, but did not break.
The wolf pack howled louder in the coming dark. Rome unleashed the thunder of its machines.
Yet the phalanx carved iron like flesh.
From shadows, Decebalus struck like the wolf itself.
Rome's pride refused surrender.
The sky itself burned with Rome's fury. But the Dacians fought with the fury of the wolf spirit.
Rome's iron storm pressed harder.
But Decebalus knew the mountains were his greatest weapon. The Danube's soil drank blood, neither side victorious. Rome licked its wounds, rebuilding for the storm ahead. The Dacians too mourned, but their spirit did not falter.
Reports to Rome spoke of a foe unlike any other.
In Rome's marble halls, Dacia became a name of dread. In Dacia, the wolf's leader prepared for greater trials.
Rome adapted its very armor, reshaped by Dacian steel.
The Dacians too prepared, guided by gods and ancestors. Rome advanced, tearing into the heart of Dacia. But the mountains themselves fought for the wolf.
Fear spread where Rome had once brought terror.
Even the legions began to question their path.
Decebalus drew strength, not from numbers, but from faith.
The stage was set for another storm of steel. The Dacians rushed where others would flee.
The Phalanx tested Rome's might as never before.
Every step into Dacia became a step into danger. In Decebalus, they saw not a man, but a wolf king rising. For the first time, Rome stepped back.
And the world heard the howl of Dacia.
Rome, humiliated, licked its wounds. Domitian's pride would not allow defeat. Plans of vengeance were drawn in marble halls. Rome's steel was reborn to face the Phalanx.
Engines of war rose higher than the forests of Dacia.
New legions were drilled to march into the wolf's den.
Even the cavalry was reforged for brutal charge. The Empire's pride would march again.
To the Danube! Crush the wolf!
Rome moved not just an army, but a nation of war.
The Empire built gateways into Dacia.
And in the mountains, the Wolf King watched. The forests carried whispers of Rome's wrath. Even the gods were envoyed for conquest.
The legions swore to never bow again.
War machines thundered like angry gods. The storm to come was forged in silence.
Rome promised itself victory or destruction. The Empire called upon its vast reach.
An empire's might gathered at Dacia's gates.
Every blade bore Rome's unyielding seal. But the wolf sharpened his fangs.
Even the rivers bent to Rome's will.
But fire on the mountains warned of Rome's approach. The earth trembled beneath Rome's fury. The empire rose again, stronger than before. And the wolf prepared to strike the heart of the lion.
The counterattack began!
But the wolf did not fear the storm. The second war of blood and steel had begun. Without unity, the kingdom trembled.
This is our land.
No, it is not.
Each king fighting for his own crown.
Rome fed their pride with silver and lies. Like wolves, they turned upon each other.
And the people paid the price.
Rome waited, watching their prey destroy itself.
Their strength shattered.
Yet the priests prayed for unit, a voice above chaos.
But mothers and children only knew loss.
Even the earth groaned beneath endless death.
Rome sharpened its blades, ready to strike. While kings drank, destiny slipped from their grasp.
Rome's eyes never left the wolf's den.
Hope grew thin, and courage faltered. Even crowns lost their meaning. But in silence, the spirit endured.
Rome punished rebellion with terror.
Some bent the knee to survive. Others sought strength in the heavens. The people fled into shadows of the forests. And Rome's shadow stretched wider. But the old remembered unity and wept.
Rome prepared for a final storm.
The Dacians still sharpened blades, though hope waned.
Division turned into ashes.
Rome moved closer, step by step. The gods were cold, but remained silent.
Only stories kept the flame alive.
But in the darkness, a new fire rose.
The storm was not over. It was only gathering.
Rome's shadow stretched further than ever before.
The wolf's den was surrounded.
Rome prepared for total domination. But the Dacians clung to their gods, their fire, their identity. Every hand became a soldier's hand.
Rome promised swift conquest.
But the wolf was learning patience. And among them, a young wolf was rising.
Rome thought it understood the enemy.
But wisdom was passed in whispers.
The eagle struck with fire.
But the wolf fought from the shadows.
Rome bled.
And in silence, the wolf sharpened its fangs. Rome built walls of stone. The Dacians built walls of will. Even the young carried the weight of survival.
Soon, Dacia will be Rome. But arrogance blinds the conqueror.
The boy of fire was becoming the wolf of war.
Rome's path would never be easy.
The prophecy of the wolf had begun.
This is our only option.
I will not allow it!
Rome prepared to tighten the noose.
But the wolf knew where to bite.
His time was near.
The Empire's machines marched closer. But the mountains spoke back in fire. The spirit of the wolf ran with them. The wolf was ready to step into the fire.
Eagle and wolf. Destiny drew closer.
The rise had begun.
Rome wanted victory, no matter the cost.
Steel answered steel.
But the wolf carried faith, not just weapons.
The eagle demanded obedience.
But the wolf refused to bow. The boy had become a leader.
The Empire struck first. But the mountains struck harder.
The wolf's shadow grew taller.
Eagle against wolf. Nature itself howled for war!
Both sides forged destiny in fire.
And one young man stood, ready to lead the howl.
His name would echo through centuries. The true war had only just begun. The Empire marches. Destiny awaits in the mountains of Dacia.
Trajan versus Decebalus, a clash of kings and empires.
In fire and blood, history will be written.
Witness the storm that will change the fate of Dacia forever. Trajan, Decebalus, the ultimate battle begins.
Prepare for war, honor, and legacy.
This is the story of a leader and a fallen city.
The epic begins now.
The Empire marches once more.
An unstoppable force, forged in iron and blood.
Every sword sharpened, every shield raised for conquest.
Across the mighty Danube, the legions advance.
The eagle leads them into the heart of Dacia. Step by step, destiny approaches. A river of men and steel flows north. But beyond the mountains, a kingdom prepares.
Dacia sharpens its blades for survival.
Every man ready to defend his homeland.
The mountains are their fortress.
And a king awaits them.
Two worlds prepare for collision.
Rome brings with it the engines of war.
The Dacians pray to their gods for strength. Night falls, but the march never ends.
The mountains themselves will fight for Dacia!
A sea of fire in the valley. The Empire is near.
A king's word steals the hearts of his people.
But Rome never rests. Its eyes search every shadow. Strategies drawn. Every move calculated.
Signals of war spread through the Carpathians. engines of destruction, ready to unleash terror.
Every family knows survival hangs in the balance.
The Empire's thunder prepares to strike.
Every hand, every blade, sworn to defend the land.
Plans whispered in the dark, for conquest at dawn.
Marks of defiance, carved upon warriors' skin.
A wall of iron, unbreakable, unstoppable.
But the Dacian blade was forged to shatter Rome. Through night and shadow, the Empire keeps moving. A king unites his people with a single gaze. Empire's voice calls across the land. And Dacia answers. For Rome believes the gods march with them. But Dacia knows gods favor the brave.
Two worlds, two destinies, one battlefield awaits!
And history will be written in blood. The Empire pushes deeper into the wild heart of Dacia. But unseen eyes follow every step. Each mile is won against the land itself. Every shadow hides a weapon.
One misstep could shatter the march. The ambush begins! Death falls from the sky!
Discipline forms their armor. But fury fuels the defenders.
Rome answers with precision.
And Dacia strikes back with terror.
Courage is the Empire's shield.
But the forest swallows its sons.
The cost of every mile grows heavier.
Fire turns the forest into chaos.
Order forged in fire!
A nation fights with every soul!
The Empire brings its weight through every obstacle.
No place is safe.
Iron crushes resistance! must never fall!
They vanish, but only to strike again. Yet the legions endure.
For the mountains belong to Dacia!
Nothing will stop the Empire's road.
Every step forward is drenched in danger.
But the machine of Rome does not break!
The land hides its sons once more. The night reveals the cost of survival.
The king swears, Rome will bleed!
But the Emperor's will is unshaken.
One rests, the other waits.
The storm of war grows heavier.
And the march continues!
Toward Sarmizegetusa. At the heart of Dacia, a city stands defiant.
The Empire encircles the mountain stronghold.
From the walls, eyes of defiance watch.
Engines of war rise against stone and faith.
A king swears his people will never kneel.
The storm begins to move.
Flames answer iron.
But discipline shields them still. Stone against stone. Empire against freedom.
Every arrow carries defiance. Secrets beneath stone hold hope.
A cage tightens around Sarmizegetusa. Even the weak bear strength.
The Empire calls its thunder forward. The mountain fights for its people. Every rung is death, yet still they climb.
The phalanx answers with vengeance.
But no wall is too high for Rome's will. Hands against giants of wood and fire. Fire eats the sky of Sarmizegetusa.
The city bleeds before it falls.
The storm closes in. The spirit of Dacia roars back!
Flames breach the heart of the city!
The king knows the walls cannot hold forever.
Stone breaks before steel!
But defiance builds new walls!
One man against the storm! The sky burns with Rome's fire. The gods are called upon to save the land.
The first breach is ready!
Steel meets steel in fury!
The tide begins to turn.
Even in the darkest fire, innocence seeks shelter.
A king readies for the unthinkable.
And the city trembles.
The Empire's shadow falls upon the Dacian heart.
Flames roar against stone and timber.
But the warriors of Dacia do not bow.
Iron strikes against oak with relentless fury.
The innocent seek shelter.
A king's cry echoes above the storm!
Rome advances, shield to shield, step by step.
Desperation fuels defiance. One by one, the towers fall.
In the smoke of war, prayers rise to the gods.
The eagle claws its way up the Dacian stone.
For many, tomorrow will never come. Blades carve defiance into the Empire's flesh. But Rome ascends, and the walls tremble.
The capital becomes an inferno!
The king himself joins the fray! Empire's giants breach the horizon. Every drop of fire screams resistance. The gates of Dacia shatter under Rome's weight. But the heart of resistance beats on. Spears fall like rain upon the last defenders. Even the old choose death before surrender.
Rome claims the capital in fire and steel. Where freedom once stood, only chains remained.
A king watches his world collapse.
The empire sounds the end of Sarmizegetusa.
The heart of Dacia burns.
But the spirit of defiance does not die here. The conquerors proclaim their victory to the heavens. But the king lives, and his fight is not finished. Wealth of Dacia, seized by the Empire's hand. Chains replace freedom at the capital gates. For the Emperor, another jewel won by fire. A nation's symbol reduced to ashes. Exiles witness their home turned grave. Yet vengeance brews in the shadows. Rome rises from the ruins of Dacia's heart. But the war is not over.
The king flees, pursued by the relentless Romans.
Every step is hunted, every shadow a threat.
Through rain and mud, he presses on, alone.
The Empire closes in, relentless and unyielding.
High ground is his last hope, but hope is fleeting. His eyes betray no fear, only resolve.
No corner of the forest can hide him now.
Surrounded, yet unbroken, the final moment approaches. Memories of battles fought now lead to this end. Rome's shadow grows ever closer. The wolf stands alone, facing fate.
No escape remains. The forest itself betrays him.
Better death than chains.
Decebalus chooses his fate. The fallen warrior meets the forest's silence. Even in death, he remains unbowed.
The forest remembers the fallen.
Silence falls where battle once roared.
Nature reclaims the battlefield.
A warrior's honor endures, even in silence.
The hunters have found their prey, yet the legend lives on. Symbols of Dacia endure beyond the flesh.
Even Rome honors a worthy adversary.
The land holds memory of the Wolf King.
Even nature whispers his tale. Every step he took remains etched in the earth.
Storms pass, but legends endure. Weapons are silent, yet history remembers.
Rome moves forward, yet the wolf's shadow lingers.
The battlefield sleeps. History awakens.
Symbols of courage remain.
Even victors carry tales of the fallen.
Life returns, yet memory endures.
The Wolf King is gone, but not forgotten.
Dacia remembers its sons and kings. Even fragments speak of courage. Legends soar where men have fallen.
The Wolf King's story lives forever.
Rome stands victorious, the land of Dacia now under its banner. The riches of the land flow to the empire. The emperor surveys his triumph, proud and resolute. The warriors rest, yet their deeds echo in history. Rome rebuilds, asserting order and civilization.
Even the land heals after the storm of war. Rome's presence endures, shaping the future.
Decisions today define the empire tomorrow.
Marching forward, Rome leaves a lasting imprint.
The conquered watch, yet history remembers their courage.
Even victors pause to honor the fallen. Fortresses rise, symbols of Rome's enduring might. Mercy and discipline mark the empire's path. Mountains conquered, yet their majesty remains. The eagle soars, the emblem of Rome's supremacy. The machinery of empire never sleeps. Leadership inspires loyalty and courage alike. Life slowly resumes. Hope cautiously returns.
The empire's presence flows through every valley and stream.
Connections endure, even across continents.
The land will serve both Rome and its people. From ashes of war, a legacy rises. The memory of a proud people endures.
Rome moves forward, its victories etched in every mile.
Evening falls on a land forever changed.
An emperor's gaze embraces both conquest and legacy.
Respect for the fallen, honor for the brave.
Life returns, resilient and enduring.
The past echoes in the present.
Symbols of Rome's enduring power.
The land remembers both conqueror and king. Infrastructure of empire leaves its mark. Life goes on, intertwined with history.
Even warriors find moments of peace.
A chapter ends, but its story lives on.
Dacia conquered, yet never forgotten.
The legacy of kings and empires endures forever. Rome has conquered the land, yet the memory endures. The Wolf King's story is far from over. To be continued. Chapter 5 coming soon.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe for latest updates.
The legacy of kings and empires endures forever. History is written in fire and remembered in silence. The epic continues. Chapter 5 coming soon. Stay tuned. The wolf's land was tamed. Dacia now belonged to Rome. Engineers carved order into the wild mountains.
Fortresses rose, symbols of discipline and dominance.
Every road led to Rome's control.
The legions ensured order, step by step.
With stone and water, civilization spread.
Monuments of empire grew where once stood forests. Homes of Roman settlers blossomed beside native huts.
Two worlds collided. One ruled, one adapted.
Decrees of Rome echoed in foreign tongues.
A new language began to take root.
Wealth and power carried Rome's image. Dacia's strength was bent into Rome's service.
Even the gods of Rome claimed new soil.
Leisure followed conquest, the luxury of empire.
But old gods faded under new stone.
The land was Rome's harvest. Beneath the earth, Rome hungered for treasure. Dacia's veins of gold bled for Rome.
Wealth flowed endlessly into Rome's empire.
Order was kept under steel and stone.
Water, the lifeblood of empire, reached every city.
Rome's games arrived, spectacles of blood and glory.
But not all eyes admired Rome's entertainments.
Trade blended two worlds into one marketplace. Rome marked its presence in every stone.
The province thrived as a jewel of empire.
New generations grew under Rome's shadow.
Alliances were forged, yet fragile as glass.
The empire stood tall, but shadows gathered beyond the horizon.
For no empire lasts forever. And Dacia's story was far from over.
Here, in Dacia's veins, Rome found rivers of gold. The earth itself was torn open to feed the empire's hunger.
Gold flowed like fire, shaping Rome's fortunes.
Wealth that once belonged to Dacians now filled Roman coffers. From gold came cities, and from cities came power.
Rome built stone where forests once stood.
Markets thrived, Latin and Dacian tongues woven together.
Even the baths carried the promise of Rome's comfort.
Generations began to blend Roman blood with Dacian roots. Yet for some, the glory of Rome was the shadow of loss. The minds did not sleep. Men became machines of empire.
Every coin bore the mark of conquest.
With Dacian treasure, Rome fed its endless wars.
Luxuries of the empire glistened with Dacian wealth. But prosperity was not shared by all. The language of Rome carved itself into Dacia's soul.
Entertainment bought with blood and coin.
Gods of Rome now ruled the mountains once sacred to Zamolxis.
From day to night,
Dacia beat to Rome's heart.
Gold came at the cost of flesh and bone.
Dacia's earth forged weapons for Rome's might.
Gold became both fortune and folly.
Culture blended with commerce.
Rome's authority was declared in stone and law.
Yet not all bent to Rome's will.
Some chose mountains over marble.
Civilization blossomed under Roman hands. But Dacia's roots began to fade in silence. Even art spoke with Rome's voice.
Dacian beauty was worn as Roman fashion.
Dacia's treasure fueled Rome's expansion across the world.
Yet beyond the cities, the wild still whispered rebellion.
Beyond Rome's reach, the wild still breathed freedom.
Here, sons of Decebalus sharpened their father's steel.
Mothers stitched memory into cloth and flame.
Survival was their creed, the forest their fortress.
Ancient gods still spoke through stone and fire.
Even the young were raised as wolves of the mountains.
Faith bound them tighter than Rome's chains could break.
They watched Rome's walls rise, but did not bow.
The wolf remained their sacred oath. In secret, they prepared for a war yet to come. Freedom was not theirs to surrender. Rome's hand reached far, but not here. The wild rivers carried their defiance.
Songs of sorrow kept the memory of kings alive.
Even the youngest grew up with stories of their ancestors' struggle.
Their network stretched across hills and valleys.
Like shadows, they struck when Rome least expected.
Every victory was a message. We are not gone. The spirit of the wolf lived in them still.
Stories passed in whispers became unbroken chains.
Flames carried their unity across the night.
Beast and man ran as one in freedom. No coin could buy their loyalty.
They lived simple, yet proudly have, free from Rome's yoke.
Every day, they prepared for tomorrow's storm.
They never forgot the enemy beyond the walls.
They mourned, yet did not yield.
Decisions were carved in fire and stone. The wolf banner would rise again. They were outnumbered, but never broken. Even Rome's maps could not erase them. The free Dacians, last guardians of a fading flame.
Roman Dacia gleamed with marble and order.
For a century, law and empire ruled these mountains.
Its mines fed Rome's endless hunger for wealth.
Legions stood as guardians of the frontier.
Urban life flourished. Entertainment became empire's gift.
Yet, in the shadows, the free still remembered their freedom. But a darker tide was rising beyond Rome's horizon. Goths, Vandals, and Carpi gathered in restless swarms.
The frontier was no longer secure. Dacia's outer lands burned first.
Even Rome's strongest walls could not halt the storm forever.
Wolves return when the eagles sleep. Prophecies whispered of the eagle's fall.
Fear seeped into daily life.
The first blood marked the beginning of the end.
Trade routes shattered under endless raids. Gold no longer flowed as before. Urban life began to decay.
The storm drew closer each winter. Rome's strength became defense, not dominance.
Dacia turned from Rome's jewel into Rome's burden.
By the 3rd century, Rome's own emperors knew the truth.
The frontier was collapsing.
Rome prepared to abandon Dacia. Emperor Aurelian made the unthinkable choice.
The eagle's shadow left the mountains behind.
Rome's marble crumbled to silence.
The wolves returned to empty halls.
For them, Rome was only a passing shadow. Rome itself retreated, leaving Dacia behind.
The empire's jewel was gone.
And so began the last chapter, the fall of Dacia. Rome had left, but the storm had only begun. The Goths came first, horsemen from the north. Fierce, untamed, hungry for conquest. The land itself seemed swallowed by their fury. No Roman garrison remained strong enough.
The Carpi too struck, wolves turning against the eagle.
Wave after wave, the land was overrun. Leaders rose, not as kings, but as predators. Old bloodlines found new allies in chaos. Night after night, the frontier burned. Fortresses collapsed under relentless fury.
Innocence, too, was caught in the storm.
The Vandals swept in with winter's cruelty. Dacia became a land of ashes.
Gold lost its meaning. Only survival remained. These were not raids alone, but migrations of whole peoples.
Even Rome's historians feared to write of it.
Blood soaked the border!
For the wolves. The land filled with strangers' fires.
Survivors fled south, leaving Dacia behind.
The wolves now ruled unchallenged. A new generation knew no empire. Dacia fractured into tribal realms.
In Rome, Dacia was spoken of only as a memory. For some, the spirits of their ancestors had returned.
Oaths were sworn, wars promised.
Darkness gathered for centuries to come.
And so began the Age of Invasions.
Dacia was no longer one land, but many fractured thrones.
The Goths carved kingdoms with steel and blood.
The Vandals thrived on plunder, tearing Rome's roads apart.
the wolves returned, reclaiming forgotten altars. Borders shifted with every season. The Goths claimed kingship, though fragile. The Vandals defied Rome's shadow. Alliances were forged in whispers. Old gods demanded loyalty through blood.
Unity was fleeting, betrayal constant.
Even Rome bent to their terms. The Vandals sought the rivers as new roads.
The Goths expanded, unstoppable.
A generation grew, knowing only ruin.
Power was redrawn by every council.
Yet a greater terror was coming. Whispers of a new enemy spread.
They spoke of riders who devoured Earth itself.
The Huns. A storm unlike any before. Even the Goths trembled. The Vandals fled the horizon's roar. Ancient prayers could not stop the storm.
History remembered them as death itself.
The Hun thudder shook the world.
Wolves met the storm!
No tribe was spared. A new master rose over Dacia. The Huns consumed all. The tribes scattered in fear. Dacia's soul trembled. The world had entered the age of the Huns.
Rome had bled too long on the Carpathian frontier.
Emperor Aurelian made a choice. Abandon Dacia. The eagles crossed the river for the last time. Families left behind the only homes they had ever known. Stone walls crumbled into silence. The tribes rushed to claim the ruins.
Rome itself declared the province lost.
The eagle fell and never returned.
The land was left to wolves. ruins, and memory. But the soul of Dacia refused to die.
In Roman scrolls, the name was erased.
Yet ruins still whispered the story.
The capital of the Dacians lay in ashes once more.
Rome retreated. The frontier was gone. But the wolf remained. An empire ended, but a legend was born. The spirit of the wolf endured. Stone upon stone, a new people arose. Descendants carried both Roman blood and Dacian soul.
Through centuries, lands divided, yet bound by memory.
Even in exile, the name Roman endured.
Faith became the fortress of identity. Warriors rose again to defend the Carpathians.
A spirit unbroken dank, from Dacia to Romania.
Centuries later, the dream of unity returned.
The ancient land became a modern nation.
Romania, the child of Rome and Dacia.
From empire's ashes, a people stood eternal.
The story lives in every generation.
The past breathed in tradition and pride.
Dacia never died. Rome never vanished. Together, they became Romania.
Empires fall. Legends remain.